Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. I have returned once more to entertain you in a very old school kind of way. We have two special guests joining us right now in real time. Please give a warm welcome to the two Marks from Weird, New Jersey, Mark Moran and Mark Sceurman. They are the co-founders of Weird, New Jersey. That's weirdnj.com. And yes, I am joined by my co-host and these very lovely gentlemen. Let's bring them right on in. And boys, what's going on?
Well, Myke and Myke, I think Mark and Mark are going to start to interview you guys, okay?
Oh, my.
So, all right. So, first of all, what does end of days really mean? Is it like the end of the world, the earth? Is the world going to fall apart? Or
Well, first of all, that's not really the name of the program anymore. So I think you were given false sort of information.
Fake news.
All right. So what is the name of the program? I'll regurgitate my thoughts.
No worries. It's called the Michael Deacon Program. It's a little bit more classier.
Oh.
You can see how much more professional we are.
It's very professional.
All right. So it's the Michael Deacon Program. So are you predicting the end of days?
Well, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. The way things are working right now, it kind of seems like it is the end of days, especially for some parts of the world where things are quite grim. But I'm someone who likes that sort of thing, even though I'm not religious. I kind of want to see the end of times, the end of days, when some sort of Messiah comes from the sky and destroys the earth. I mean, I love that.
Yeah, well, it seems like we're right on the precipice of that. So you might be in luck, or maybe luck isn't the right word, but the civilization has lasted a long time, but it's got to fall apart sometime, right?
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh yeah.
And sooner or later, those aliens are going to land, and it's going to take over the whole world.
I hope
They're going to
so.
land in California first.
Well, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Well, hopefully they take out New Jersey first before California.
I think New Jersey is going to be like cockroaches. It'll be the last thing to go.
I mean, it's already cockroaches now with Chris Christie out there. That's another embarrassment for New Jersey, by the way, that Chris Christie. But that's a whole nother show. Gentlemen, I do want to welcome you both to the program. It's quite the honor and pleasure to have you guys. And I first came across you gentlemen through the show Weird US, by the way. Long time ago.
Oh yeah, that's got to be like 17 years ago now.
That's right. Yeah, it's a long ass time ago. I think it was around, what was it, 2005?
2005 into 2006. Yeah, we
Ooh.
shot 14-hour-long episodes of that for the History Channel. And yeah, we traveled around the country and we saw some really strange things and met some even stranger people. And
I bet.
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yes, and you know, these kind of shows, the paranormal, shows about Bigfoot, cryptids, that sort of jazz, they've made a significant comeback. And these shows are always back in style. Well, they come back in style, and these things sort of work in cycles, as you guys know.
Yeah, well, we're guests on a show on the Travel Channel now called Paranormal Caught on Camera, and it seems that the Travel Channel shows nothing but paranormal shows now.
Nowadays,
It's
yeah.
amazing to see how much these cable channels have all changed in the time since we were on the History Channel, because we consider what we were doing a history in a folklore kind of way. The History Channel had a real problem with they didn't see it as history, and now you'd be hard pressed to find any history on the History
Right.
Channel, I think.
Yeah, it's true. It's pretty wild. And I would say 2007 was sort of the peak for television networks sort of broadcasting these sort of paranormal shows. It seems like 2007 was a really heavy year for that. And again, it's making a cycle back. It's the new black. And you guys are in a perfect place right now. And you guys have pitched out a new show. And I think you guys are working with Sony Pictures, correct?
Well, yes, they license our content, so let's see what they do with it. Let's hope they do something very great.
Yes.
Well,
and
this show is
Mhm.
is sort of more exciting to us than other shows that have been pitched to us over the years. A lot of people had approached us about doing like a reality kind of a thing or another documentary type series like the History Channel was. But they really missed the point because our stuff is, we're telling stories, and people have to use their imagination for a lot of them. It's not necessarily someplace you can go and film, and it's gonna end up looking just like the folklore, or you can't go to a place and be guaranteed a paranormal experience. So this show with Sony is a fictionalized drama based on the material that we've compiled over the years. So it would be scripted and acted out, and so I think it has a lot more potential than other projects that people have approached us about.
And
Pretty cool.
And it is,
yeah,
we believe it's going to be filmed in New Jersey. So if we have any partake in it, it's going to be either like location scouts or just like reading the script and fine tuning it a little bit.
Narrating, yeah.
yeah, narrating. And you guys have been doing this for a long time. Way back, it started, I believe, 1989.
Myke, I think it started around 1910.
1910.
Yeah.
God damn.
We're actually with Edison when he invented his first movie.
It's funny that a lot of people quote that 1989 date, and that's really fake news.
Oh, shit.
People quote that because it's somehow whoever originally put a Wikipedia page together for us, and somebody we didn't know. They put that up there, and like just about everything else on Wikipedia, it's not fact checked at all. The first issue of Weird New Jersey that Mark put out was in 1993. So I don't know where that 1989 date came from, and that's significant because this marks our 30-year anniversary. So
Jesus.
Since 1993.
Are you guys not tired of each other yet?
Well, it's a perfect business operation. So let's put it that way.
I see.
I have a question. First of all, hello guys, how are you? It's Myke Hideous here.
Myke
Hey,
Hideous.
Mike.
Hey,
Been a
Mike,
long
I didn't even know
time.
you were
You
here.
don't talk to anybody that's last name is called Hideous.
Right.
First and foremost, hello, and I do have a quick question here. Now I've known Mark Sceurman since, oh my goodness, since the early '90s. I believe him and I formally met around 1994,
Not 1989, right?
not '89. Now,
Okay.
so here's something weird that you just mentioned. That Mark, you said you put out the first Weird New Jersey magazine. What was it, '93? You said, Moran?
That's the closest we can figure.
So, yeah,
Okay,
it's like a gray area, I was just like throwing around little flyers here and there to my friends, but 93 is
well,
kind of like a good zone, I guess, to get in.
okay. So here's my question then. So when did you and Moran actually start working together on the magazine?
I think probably right around issue number 7. Because
Really?
No, it was I had contributed. I think my earliest contributions go back to issue number 4 or 5. So that was probably a year after, probably '94.
Well, I remember it specifically. Me and Mark were sitting at the Franklin Tavern. We just got back from, where were we, photographing Midgetville or something. And I said, Mark, do you think the magazine like this would work? And he goes, yeah, I think so. So I said, all right, let's do it together. Because before then, it was just like a mishmash of, of whatever.
Whatever story.
I was learning to type on the typewriter. That's why I started the magazine, so I could practice typing on a real typewriter. Like not a not a computer typewriter.
Right. So you guys start the, well, Mark Sceurman, you start the magazine basically by doing what's called a fanzine, by I guess photocopying the papers, the pages, stapling them together, and then distributing them that way. So when did it come to a point where it actually started getting printed and the publication became more than just like 100 copies? When did you start getting like a mass production?
Well, we
I'm sure it just kept going higher and higher, but when was your first large press run?
probably like issue 6 or 7. 7 was the first time we had a one color, on the front cover.
Yeah, it's kind of, it never really went, took that tremendous leap, a leap forward. It started out with us basically Xeroxing the
Right.
pages and stapling them together. Then by issue 4, we were getting the pages printed at like a quick print place, and then we were sitting around the kitchen table and collating them and folding them.
Right.
And then by issue 7, we had one color. Oh no, a second color. So there was red on the cover as well as the black print. And then issue 8 was actually printed and stapled for the first time.
At a printing.
So then it just kept getting a little bit bigger each time. A few issues later, we started using full color photos on some of the pages. Then eventually we went to glossy stock and full color throughout. So it was really a snowballing thing where we just kept making it. As we started selling more of them, we had the money to actually, it all went to the printer basically.
Right.
It all went to Kinko's.
Yeah, and you got to remember, this is at the time where like fanzines were like, I was enthralled with old. I used to subscribe to this magazine called Fact Sheet 5.
I remember that.
That would just like print everybody's fanzine. It was like Log Cabin Monthly or anything. It was like anything anybody was into. They would just review it, and if you wanted to buy it, you'd send 50 cents to this guy in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And
Yep.
it was a very networking way before the internet.
Way before.
Yeah, it's a long time before the internet.
I think the magazine really took a giant step forward with the advent of the internet, because we got onto it. We had a website very early on, at a time when most people were really just putting up pictures of flying toasters and stuff.
Yes.
We actually had content because it was around 96, so we already had 3 years of content that we could put up. And when we did that, there was really a real groundswell of attention locally, and I think that interest from that is what when we went into a bookstore to try to sell them some magazines on consignment, that was kind of our entree because people had already started to hear about it through word of mouth and then through the internet.
For those that are younger, in those days, people had fanzines. Many bands used those things, and it's very punk rock, by the way. And of course, you gentlemen are from New Jersey and know Myke, so I'm not far off from assumptions I already have in my mind. When did you guys run into Mr. Myke Hideous?
Should we really tell this story?
Is it gonna land him in jail?
I hope the FBI's not listening.
Were you gentlemen Me Too'd by Myke? That's how I met Myke.
I worked for a music newspaper called the Aquarium Weekly, and Myke was a sales representative, as they said.
Right.
Oh,
and in
damn.
fact, most people don't know this, but for a couple of seasons, I wouldn't say years, but seasons on and off, I actually did work for Mark Sceurman and Mark Moran, selling ad space within Weird New Jersey magazine before they got the television show, and before they got the book publishing deal with what was it, Barnes and Nobles or Borders?
Myke, I was going to say that before you interrupted me.
I'm terribly sorry.
Selling advertising for Weird New Jersey magazine.
Yeah, and before that, I had even submitted some imagery, drawings, and I think I even did one or two stories for the publication as well.
Yes, you did. I don't know them offhand. It was something about
crows,
a murder of crows or something like that.
20,000 crows coming from the west on Route 46 in Totowa, New Jersey, Little Falls, actually.
Yes,
I remember
that murder. That murder is still there, Myke. I still see it sometimes. Our office is in Little Falls now, and that's really just right around the corner from where we work.
An amazing sight, isn't it?
It is.
I would sit there and watch like just thousands and thousands of crows come in from the west and then roost at night right along the Totowa, Little Falls area, all along the Route 46 area by the fast food shops.
Yes, it's right on I think it's either Browertown or Lower Notch Road and Route 46. For some reason, they just love that area. I guess it's just an ancestral roost for them.
I think so.
Myke, I got to say, you were you're a very funny guy. I always love talking to you on the phone. I never am up for lost for words.
Well, that's good. Thank you, Mark.
And the one time Myke Hideous brought in his high school yearbook.
Oh my!
To work, and he managed to take every photo in his high school yearbook and kind of erase photos with an eraser, then draw some really obscene photos. Every one of the people he hated in high school.
Damn, Myke, I had no idea you had such hate in your heart.
I actually made 2 copies of it on the copier at work, and I still have one to this day. It's called The Hideous Years.
That's right.
Wow.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. Just a long story short, basically what happened is I took this yearbook of mine and I took a majority of the photos and erased the images, like portions of the face.
Erased the ink off.
Right. And then I would redraw it with either pencil or black pen and create anything from people with tentacle arms to, people with giant members.
Well, that's a good thing, Myke. Hearing about this, I'm glad you didn't turn into Adam Lanza.
One guy had a big penis sticking in his mouth. I remember that.
Oh shit! So Myke has always been a creative lad.
Perverted.
A
You say
perverted
perverted or
lad.
creative?
Well, creative.
Yeah, well, either or.
That is hilarious.
It is. I got to show you the picture someday, Michael.
Yeah, I need to see that.
You do.
Oh, I put it up online. Did you know, Mike?
Don't do that.
Oh, shit.
You'll get me sued.
So anyway, what do you guys actually talk about every week?
All kinds of things, everything under the sun.
That's
From, I
Give me
mean, just the last show we did was a celebrity death pool. So just goes to show you how far we really go.
Say again, Mark.
Who's going to be dying next? Is that the pool?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a
Uh-huh.
it's a top 10 list of celebrities that we think are going to drop. And yeah, we do things like that. We have interviews from all kinds of walks of life.
Right.
Yeah.
Politics,
yeah.
Paranormal, ghost hunters, Satanists, conspiracy theorists, you name it.
Everything. It's like
Musicians.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
Basically. And you know, we have a great time here. Sometimes it's kind of dark. Sometimes it's a bit more happy, but today it's a pretty laid back sort of program with both of you Marks. The Marks. Mark and Mark.
Mark and Mark.
Yeah.
With Mike and Mike.
Well, then let's smoke some weed.
Well, I mean, we could. I mean, we could
How
do
laid
that.
back you want to get?
Well, Mark, you know, I'm kind of taken back here because, you know, I was like, you know, these guys, the Sony Pictures have bought the rights to your content, and that sort of means I need to be on my best behavior. But now it seems like, you know, you want to smoke weed, you're drinking beer now. I'm like, whoa.
Michael, this is his best behavior.
Wow.
Yes. You know, see me in the morning.
Wow. Well, you're doing it right then. Well, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I applaud you for that, Mark. You're drinking, you're smoking, you're doing it all. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
You sure can. It's always welcome here, and of course we do take phone calls whenever people want. But I've noticed some people are a little, you know, they get a little shy and they don't really always want to call in, and that's too bad. It's too damn bad. It really is.
It's on them. It's on them.
Yes, and going back to, you know, the show and all of that, I was just going to ask you guys, did you ever expect to, do you ever expect that this would be going on this long?
Or reach the levels that it did.
That too.
I think the most surprised people in this world were me and Mark Moran, because we've thought, aha, funny, we're New Jersey, haha, let's have a couple of issues and make a good laugh out of it. But then it didn't stop.
I can remember thinking after issue number 8. Now, bear in mind, we're on issue number 60 now. I can remember thinking after issue 8, well, I guess that's it. We had a pretty good run.
Yeah.
A damn good run. I mean, you guys have been together for longer than most marriages, you know.
And then the next thing, I guess that we were about 10 issues beyond that, maybe 15 issues beyond that. Was when we first got the call from Barnes & Noble, and they wanted to make a book. And I thought, okay, well, we'll make a book, and that'll be the end of that, you know, because, I mean, where are you going to go after you make a book? You know, you've put together 20 issues, let's say, and you're going to compile them into a book, and we did the book, and that was very successful. But you know, there was always another issue on the horizon, 6 months away. You know, we're always working on the next issue, and it never stopped. And then in the midst of all that, you know, the first book was such a great success that they wanted to do a series of books. So we were contracted to do books on other states as well as New Jersey. And we did a second New Jersey book. We did a national book. Then we started doing individual state books. So somehow in the middle of doing 30 books and working on the issues, you know, we got the History Channel TV show. So all of that was going on simultaneously. And when you remember that primarily it's just a 2-man operation. That's a lot of balls to juggle or
Yeah,
plates to spin at one time.
right. Like when you think back on it, Mark, it's just like how the fuck did we do it? I mean,
Yeah.
it's, we were like constantly. We would go to Minnesota one day, then to Florida the next day.
Wow.
Then we'd go home and write some stories for the Barnes and Noble, and then we'd go back to Minnesota again.
That's
We
crazy.
didn't get a lot of sleep in those days.
I was just going to ask how you guys even juggled such a thing when you're researching all these folklores and information about ghosts and haunted houses and so on and so forth. In addition to now doing a book, how long did it take you to do one book?
The first New Jersey book was relatively easy because we had such a backlog of material already, and then of course, we tried to include new material but that was kind of like bringing everybody up to speed. It was kind of like catching up with Weird New Jersey for all those people who hadn't heard of it before. So the book exposed us to a larger audience than. I mean, our magazine was an underground magazine. I mean, it still is to a large extent, even more so now than it was, say, 10 years ago, because most bookstores that carried it have gone out of business. So,
Wow.
we're basically underground once again. I mean, there are
Yeah.
no more Borders, Brentanos, B. Dalton, Walden. All of those stores are gone. So.
Wow.
Basically, we're an underground publication again.
You're the last of
That,
your breed, it seems.
I think we are. We're probably like the last independent magazine left in America, well,
Yeah,
in New Jersey.
for
yeah.
sure. And
Maybe
Mike,
America. I don't.
Mike was telling me about you boys, and he was describing to me who you guys are, and I just stopped him right away. And I'm like, I know who these guys are. I've seen them on TV a long time ago, and and kind of now. I've seen you guys come out on shows and stuff, and I have a lot of respect for you guys. You guys are very punk rock.
Absolutely. Totally underground. Yeah.
I love
We
that.
we haven't hit the power ballad yet. Right?
It's soon. It's coming.
Well, that we never accepted any kind of partnership with anybody. We never allowed anybody to take over the distribution of the magazine. Aside from accepting advertising to kind of offset the tremendous print bills that we have, there is no corporate sponsorship. There's nothing like that. We're completely independent. There is no corporation. Which really it's a DIY project from start to finish.
Mr. Moran, if I may ask, what is the print run up to these days?
Oh, I don't even. You'd have to ask Mark that.
We're probably around 20,000 every 6 months.
That's amazing.
And we sell 20,000 every 6 months.
That's fantastic. And I've got pretty much all the first issues except issue 1 and issue 2. I have everything.
Well, that'll cost you $20 if you go on to weirdanddaily.com.
There you go, Mike.
That's amazing. I have a question for you now. So you're doing currently, if I remember correctly, you are currently doing Paranormal Caught on Camera, the television show. What is it on AMC or not AMC?
Travel Channel.
Travel Channel. So you're still doing that, right?
This is our 6th season.
Okay. So my question to you is this, and if you don't want to answer it, that's fine. We can move on. But
let's move on.
As the publishers of a great magazine like Weird New Jersey, and covering such great stories of the Death Seat and the haunted Clinton Road and the haunting of this house and blah blah blah, what is your view?
Please don't say that.
What's your view? What's your view on paranormal activity and that sort of thing?
Well, I'm not really a ghost hunter. We're journalists. We read about ghosts. We know what ghosts are supposed to do and everything, but we're not really ghost hunters. So when we see the videos on Paranormal on camera, which involves like ghost hunters, it's like it's hard to really make a crazy opinion on it. I just do what I think is going on.
So they basically
The thing is that they show us videos, the same videos that the people at home are watching, and they ask us our opinion on them.
right.
In some cases, you can usually tell if you think it's a hoax or
Right.
but then there are other cases where you're truly dumbfounded by what's been captured, and you get to kind of share your expertise, I guess, or at least your considered opinion on what might be happening. And since we've been following this sort of material for a long time, we can kind of relate how something that's captured on video might correlate with other things that we've seen or other stories that we've covered. So in that respect, we do have a sort of an expertise in the field. But at the same time, we're just as, sort of mystified by some of the things that we see, as would be anybody who's watching the show at home. I mean, everybody's entitled to form their own opinion. We're just there to give our take on it. And, sometimes we're not too impressed. Sometimes we're completely flabbergasted. It has to be seen, and everybody gets to make their own opinion. But some of the videos are truly, and it's not just the ghost stuff. I mean, there are people that capture Bigfoots and UFOs, and some of them are really, really hard to just explain away.
Right.
The ones that are really good are the ones that are submitted by people who see the show and say, "Oh, I've got a video I captured on my phone," and they send it in. Even more so than the people who, let's say the YouTubers who are out there like ghost hunting, paranormal investigators and stuff, because I think you have less chance of capturing something amazing if you're out looking for it. I think that the things that really are surprising and sort of awesome are the things that were captured completely unbeknownst to the person who was filming.
Yep.
I mean, it's easy to be skeptical. You don't. The show is not about being skeptical. The show is entertainment. You can form your own opinion.
Sure.
And great question there, Myke. And just to follow up on these sort of programs, do you guys actually watch these shows yourself? There's been like Ghost Hunters International, and you have like Zach Baggins out there. You have all these shows. What do you think of these other programs? Like, I gotta know.
I don't really watch much of them, to be truthful with you. I once in a while when I scroll through the TV, I'll watch them, but I don't really watch much of them.
You don't give a shit, in other words.
What's that?
He said you don't give a shit, Mark.
Well,
I have to. I agree with Mark on that. I don't really watch too many of the ghost hunting shows either.
How can you? You guys are so busy all the time.
Yeah, well, there's that. I mean, there's also we're constantly compiling that sort of material
right
from eyewitnesses here in New Jersey. And so, some of the best ghost stories aren't caught on camera. They're just told by people who send us emails. Hey, I saw this, and if they seem like they're credible people, and we don't. We're not there to judge them. We're there to pass along a good story, and it's up to the reader to decide whether they want to believe it or not. Generally, we feel that most people aren't trying to pull the wool over our eyes, and what would their payoff be for doing that? We don't give them money for the stories that they share. In that case, we hear great stories about ghosts that people have seen all the time. I find that with a lot of those ghost hunting shows, they spend a lot of time looking for ghosts and not a lot of time finding them.
Yeah, that's the problem, though. You're not always going to find any sort of quote unquote paranormal activity. And, when you're having a show with a network paying you all kinds of money, sometimes you have to embellish some of these findings. And a lot of these programs I mentioned have been caught faking stuff. They were caught faking the funk, in other words.
Yeah,
And
I agree with that. I mean, it's entertainment.
that's TV.
No, it's not the Science Channel.
Right, right. And there was another program, I think it was called the Holzer Files, I believe. And there's this gentleman by the name of Dave Schrader who was on some sort of ghost hunt. And he's standing there with an EMF reader and he's talking to his coworkers there essentially. And he sort of just he sort of like gets pushed over. But going back and looking at that as many times as I have, it looks like that was a pretty fake.
Yeah, if I may add, Mark Sceurman, you may remember this. When they were getting the television show, I actually sent in a tape to Mark Sceurman, an audition tape. I was looking to be not a host, a reporter, if you will, on special assignment. And I sent Mark a videotape of me doing this story.
That'd be great if they had you on there.
Down in Newark, New Jersey.
I remember that tape, Mike.
Do you really? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it was down in.
They were pointing out a shadow on the building.
That's right.
It was an ITT building. What was the? There was some initials on it.
That's right. It was an AT&T building.
Yeah.
In Newark, right off where 21 turns
McCarter Highway.
McCarter Highway.
The mighty Passaic River.
That's right. So here's what happened. I was with a friend. We had been, I don't know, we were out late that night. So it's like 3:30 in the morning, and we are on the side of the highway, parked, and I've got my video camera out, and I've got a buddy hitting record so I can do the commentary, if you will. And I'm looking to do goofy stuff. I don't take myself seriously unless I've got serious information. So we see this building, and there was an American flag that had been folded in such a manner that it cast a shadow on the building that looked almost precisely like an alien, like a gray face with the big eyes. So, I go down and I do this, I get in front of I come up from the bottom of the camera into the screen, and I'm saying something like, AT&T or contact for aliens. So yeah, unfortunately I didn't get the part, but that was my connection to trying to get an audition tape to the Weird New Jersey, or I should say Weird USA, right? Weird USA.
Well, Mike, one day when we compile all those VHS tapes.
Oh, please do.
Might be on our.
Please do. I want to see that footage.
Oh, that was a good time, man. That was a good time.
That is hilarious. We got to play that footage here on the program for everyone.
I wish I still had it. Did we just lose Mark? Oh, there he is.
Great. I'm here, right?
Okay, yeah, just making sure. I think you turned your camera off, right?
By the way, we do have a question for you boys in the chat room. Someone's asking, what do these guys think is the best equipment?
Best equipment for
I'm assuming ghost hunting.
For beer drinking. What?
Well, we know what beer. Yeah, we know what the best tools are for beer drinking, but in terms of paranormal investigating, I guess you can say.
We like Mark said earlier, we are not really personally in the ghost hunting field, but we have people, as with just about everything with the magazine, if there's somebody we know who has that field of expertise. So when we have somebody contacts us and they want someone to come in and do a ghost investigation, we go to the experts, and in this case, it's our friends at Barefoot Paranormal here in New Jersey, because they have all of the equipment, the EMV meters and
the discombobulators and
right, so they can capture, infrared and all of the voice recording equipment. So we don't need to buy all of that the electronic gizmos ourselves because we have people that we work with who have all of that. I think that the big thing about electronics is that sometimes it facilitates the capturing of some kind of paranormal evidence that our naked senses, such as sight and hearing, aren't necessarily privy to, because there's the theory is that spiritual activity has can manipulate the electromagnetic field of a place. So in that instance, the electronic meters can pick up things that, as I say, our naked senses can't. And that makes logical sense to me. I mean, there are things that can be seen in infrared light that our naked eyes can't see. So, if you're using different methods other than just what God gave us, then perhaps you've got obviously you've got a better percentage chance of perhaps capturing something that can't be seen, heard, and in your everyday world.
Right.
Absolutely.
I have a question, if I may, Michael. Do you mind? So I'm sure you guys have been asked this 1,000 times, but I got to ask it anyway. Has there ever been an investigation that you've done that stands out being more unusual than the other? In other words, have you ever had something really strange happen or see something strange on your excursions?
You mean in terms of paranormal? No. In terms of meeting with people we meet, that's a very strange thing,
I'm sure it is. I'm sure.
Yeah,
But
they're I mean, just about every story that we investigate, I mean, these are very, very strange there are strange things going on, definitely, and not necessarily paranormal things. I mean, if it were paranormal, you could kind of say, "Whoa, I don't understand that. That's crazy." But the fact knowing that these things are happening in the real world, and there are people doing some very strange things. You have to remember. Well, we're weird New Jersey. We're not paranormal New Jersey.
I understand that. I
That's just
understand that.
one aspect of what we do. So weird can be anything.
That makes
And
sense.
I like to say that some of the people that we meet
Are weird.
Are way way out there. I mean,
Right.
well, if some guy says to he knows where the portal to the inner earth is,
Oh shit.
and then you go and you meet him, and he looks like he came from within the inner earth, and then he invites you to go with him.
Wow.
You're in a very strange situation.
well,
If I
from what
may, all I want to say is, like, based on a lot of the stories that I've read out throughout the years, the decades, I should say, of the stories that we've covered. For example, the things on top of the telephone poles on Route 23, certain rocks that are balanced on top of each other. You're dealing with, and I realize you're not a paranormal investigating team. I realize that. Sometimes you do get some stories that are just out there that you can't explain. And so, yeah, what you answered, Moran, that it definitely makes sense. I guess what I'm asking is, has there ever been anything that stood out more so than anything else in what you've done? And I realize that's a very broad question. You've been doing this for so many years. You must get asked all the time. Even Mark told me. Mark Sceurman told me, don't ask me that question, but I'm asking.
And here you are, and you're doing it.
But you know, like,
well, it has to depend on what you're asking. If you're asking on what's the weirdest house we've ever seen, or who's the weirdest person we've ever encountered, or where's the strangest place we've ever, you know, it's you got to remember, Mike, we're in the publishing business. Every 6 months we got to put out a product, so we're always like constantly just like going and going and going. So it's hard to really, like, you know, I don't have the spreadsheet in front of me. I really don't. That's the hardest question everybody asks us.
I could tell you when Mark gets the most freaked out, but it has nothing to do with anything paranormal. Sometimes we'll go into, let's say, an abandoned building, and I think heights are Mark's greatest fear.
Yes.
Right. Don't worry, mine are too. I'm afraid of heights.
He actually turns to a pillar of salt when we're standing at the edge of a like 10-story drop and investigating.
I don't blame him.
Walk across the rebar to get like across it. I was like, no fucking way, man.
Right. That's a smart man right there.
I had to brace myself against the wall.
Yeah.
The Wheatsworth.
Yeah.
Pakistan.
And by the way, someone in the chat room is asking, have they found certain areas of New Jersey? And I can't really read the rest of this question. It's sort of cut off, but they're asking about magnetic anomalies. I can't really read this question.
Throughout New Jersey, we have what are known as gravity roads or gravity hills, and I think that there's about 5, perhaps 6 throughout the state where the places have a long history of places where you can go and put your car in neutral and roll uphill instead of downhill.
Whoa!
So it's always a fun experience, especially if you're in a car full of your friends, to go and try these places out for yourself. And it really is an odd sensation when you look at a place and you think I'm pointing downhill, and if I go into neutral, I'm just going to keep going forward. And then all of a sudden the car starts to roll backwards up the hill. And all of a sudden, all that you know about the laws of physics no longer seem to apply.
Wow!
And it's not only just a story, although there are stories that try to explain it, but it's a physical sensation that is very experiential. The story, of course, is always that they tell is that there's some sort of ghost that perhaps got hit by a car at that spot, and they're trying to push the car away or push the car away from an intersection where a bus full of children was killed.
It's always the children in the bus that get killed.
Yes.
Well, that
goes hand in hand.
That's what our original goal was, to set out to collect that sort of folklore like that had only been passed down in the oral tradition, and we started to find these spots specific. They're always very specific spots where you're supposed to go, and we collected that and compiled it. And I think I'm pretty sure, without a doubt, we were the first people to ever do that.
Pretty wild. But yeah, the question was actually, have they found certain areas of New Jersey to have more magnetic anomalies than others? And you kind of already sort of answered that.
Yeah. I think specifically the caller is talking about like the spook lights, the Flanders spook lights, where magnetic activity happens underneath the railroad tracks, where you actually see these balls of light come down the tracks.
Yeah. I just saw something like that.
Yeah.
That was videotaped on YouTube not too long ago, and it was real. It's basically this lightning just kind of rolling down the road, down the railroad tracks.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
The Hooker Man lights, right?
The Hooker Man. By the way, we have right
outside of New Jersey, go like that magnetic hill, with the ringing rocks and everything, which is like kind of a weird, place to visit.
That is pretty awesome. And by the way, we do have a fun question for you guys here. One of our listeners is asking, have either of the guests encountered a gay ghost or gay Mothman?
Gay Mothman?
Yeah, a homosexual Mothman and a homosexual ghost. I think that's what they're asking. I guess they're wondering if something paranormal, like a ghost or an entity, sort of like, stroke your downstairs area there. I think that's what they're asking. I don't know. I'm just assuming here.
Oh, that's so wrong.
Well, that's the chat room. I'm sorry.
Getting thrown off now.
I've never gotten so to know a ghost intimately enough to
Unfortunately, you haven't.
They had a gender persuasion or a preference of any kind.
I wish that's the sort of an experience I had too with the paranormal. That'd be pretty cool.
Now,
Right.
a lot of times you guys go to places like Myke Sceurman just said. You've gone to places that are like abandoned buildings and property. You know, do you ever have issues where police show up and tell you to get off the property, or maybe some guy with a shotgun saying, "Get off my lawn"?
Yeah, that's happened a couple of times. Actually, both of those things have happened.
Oh my!
The shotgun incident happened in a abandoned boys' orphanage out in the woods of northern New Jersey, and the police arresting incident happened in an old abandoned convent up in North Jersey as well. So
You actually got
really
arrested?
though, in 30 years to only be arrested and fined once,
It's pretty
I
good.
think
Yeah.
that's a pretty good record, and
Right.
it's a write-off. So
They actually arrested you guys?
I was me. They arrested. Yeah, that was.
Whoa.
I unfortunately I happened to be in the place when the. I mean, if I were any other day, any other time, I would have been fine. But when the police came to flush out squatters that would happen to be living there, and it was a tremendous old abbey and fantastically picturesque place. And a person had taken up residency there, not bothering anybody. But unfortunately, I happened to be there when the county marshals came to flush them out.
Oh
So,
my. That sucks. But it
just
makes for a
bad
great
luck.
it makes a great story though.
Oh yeah, well that's why I say it was a business write-off.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's wow. How about like any other kind of trouble? Have you ever had any other people give you a hard time or trouble in any sense?
No. I mean, if we're dealing with a story that involves private property, like somebody's residence, I mean, a lot of times people do crazy things with their property. We'll ask them, do they want to be featured in a publication, and generally they are really happy about it, because let's face it, if somebody's doing something totally crazy with their property, they want attention.
Right.
So this is a great opportunity for them.
Yeah.
Other than that, like a lot of the places we've featured, let's say like abandoned mental asylums or something, those are state facilities. So as a taxpayer, we own them. So I can say anything about them that I want. The state can't do anything about that, those are, places that, were paid for by us. So I'm going to say whatever I want about it. And in its history, so a lot of these places have stories about them that need to be told. And, that's what we're here to do. As
Well,
Mark said earlier, we primarily are journalists.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Moran, not for nothing. All the magazines and the books that I've read and gone through over the decades, a lot of them are locations, and asylums, prisons, houses, and it's always fascinating, which is to the point what we were talking about before. It's not just a magazine on paranormal, it's a magazine on weird things, from the paranormal, ghosts, to locations and odd things that may happen, whether they are nature related, human induced, or just plain paranormal, unexplained situations. So yeah,
Right. Well, places like that are usually, they usually work on a number of different levels. because of the real human drama that went on in them. So they are ripe for paranormal stories of hauntings. They often usually have a very interesting and sometimes a tragic history about them, and they're also fantastic visually. So the photographs of them and the opportunity to give people a look inside is really a terrific way to share the story with them.
Very cool. And how did this interest for you guys begin? First of all, I mean, Mr. Sceurman and Mr. Moran, did you guys have any sort of weird encounters before, you guys started doing this?
No, I think the whole premise of the magazine was just it was just a bored suburban youth, and we realized that nobody was ever wrong about these local legends, these albino villages, heartbeat roads as history. So we kind of presented it as history.
I think that everybody had in their hometown, one or two of these stories where when you were teenagers, you get in your car with your friends and you'd go out to a place.
Absolutely,
like Albino Village or
Annie's Road.
Annie's Road. So every town had one of these late night visitation places that had a story behind it, but those stories usually never left the perimeters of the town where they were found. I mean, maybe the next town over would hear them. So when Weird New Jersey started, and when it was extremely local to Bloomfield, really originally, and then Essex County, and then people started bootlegging it and passing it around. It did get out. Now, remember, this was prior to the internet. So people couldn't just go on Facebook and share stories. The only place to share them was really through the magazine. It became like a local community bulletin board, and people from all over started sharing stories. And then we realized that, oh wait, every town in New Jersey has at least one of these stories. So our mission was really quite simple: collect them all and share them with everybody.
What a great idea.
And earlier you guys mentioned the place called Midgetville. I have no idea what the hell that is, and I am quite curious to know what Midgetville is.
Well, it's a community of very small people. What can we tell you?
That was one of our great quests when the magazine started, was to track down Midgetville, because everybody had a story of a tiny town where all of these former circus performers lived, and all of the buildings, the houses and everything were scaled down to their peculiar needs. So everything, houses were only about 8 feet high, and doorways were only like 4 feet high. And we had heard stories that there were Midgetvilles located in like 5 different places: Edgewater and Totowa and Rancocos. And we had to get in the car and look for all of these places. And and it was fascinating when you got there, when you got up to Jefferson and realized, wait, these really are small. And hey, guess what? The Ringling Brothers mansion is right across the street.
Oh,
so
shit.
Maybe this makes sense.
Wow.
And
okay.
Did it? I
think to a large extent, especially the Jefferson, where the Ringling Brothers, their performers all wintered there when the circus was off the road. So when we found these little cottages, we started to think that, well, it certainly would make sense if you're going to build little cottages for your performers. Wouldn't you make smaller ones for the smaller performers? I mean, why would you make a countertop that's 3.5 feet high when you have people living there that are only 2.5 feet high?
And you got to remember, we were back then, like researching Midgetville, we were like gonzo journalists. We didn't. There wasn't really much information to gather, so we had to ride around the state with maps, not even a GPS, just with Hagstrom maps.
Yep. Wow, that's amazing.
That is cool. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
it's all in a day's work, Mike and Mike.
Of course, for you guys, yeah. I got to ask now too. With all the work and research that you guys have done, do you have like a separate garage just full of files and video and all kinds of data?
Well, it's all up in the warehouse. We have boxes of VHS tapes.
Your tape is there, Mike?
Old.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sceurman.
Yeah, we have file cabinets and boxes and bins, and over the years we tried to digitize as much of it as we could. But yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, we tried to file it as best we could, but there are still uncategorized documents.
There's like files. There's like files with folders that just with old newspaper clippings.
Right.
That's where we started. Newspaper clippings. File it in the cookie jar house in Glendora, so it's filed in there.
So if I may ask, either one of you guys want to answer this. Now, you mentioned that there's going to be a new show coming up based on the stories from Weird New Jersey. That's what Sony Pictures is doing, right? So when is that coming out? When can we expect that? What's the name of it?
Right.
Well, we don't know when it's coming out. It will be called Weird New Jersey, but it's out of our hands when it comes out. The show has a studio, which is Sony. It has a writing team and a production team. They need to make a pilot, and then they need to sell the pilot to somebody who's going to air it, whether that be a regular cable TV channel or whether it be a streaming service, Netflix or something like that. So a lot of the pieces are in place, but they haven't actually they've written the script for the pilot, but they haven't filmed it yet. So a lot of it's very much up in the air. So whenever most people ask us that question, we just say, ask us next year.
Yeah. In other words, it hasn't really been pitched yet to most television networks yet.
Well, I'm sure it's been pitched behind closed doors. They play those cards pretty close to their vest. As I say, all of the pieces are in place to produce it. And then, I'm sure that you won't hear anything about that until
much later. And
it's gone around to the networks.
And Mr. Sceurman and Mr. Moran, what network would you like to be on if you can choose one?
There are so many great networks putting out really quality shows now. Paramount Plus is putting out great shows. Netflix is putting out tremendous shows. HBO is putting out great shows. And I'm sure, I'm not picking those particularly. There's a lot of really good material that's not on broadcast TV. So, I'm fine with any of those because that they're going to do, a real good job on it.
Well, I'm hoping you guys land
I would personally see I would hope we'd be on the Home Shopping Network, right? That's what TV's all about, right?
Oh, that would work. But I'm just hoping you guys land on a good network and your show goes a couple seasons long there so you guys can get those lovely residual checks.
Yeah. I hope you guys will come back once the show is up and running so we could do another interview with you guys.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed, Mike, and
thank you. I'll be in touch.
See where we are next year, right?
Definitely.
Do you think that in this internet world that we have now fallen into, I don't think I can almost answer this myself. I don't think it's affected you guys with your print magazine, but do you have an opinion on that? Do you think that the way the world is going with no longer having a lot of print places. I mean, you said it yourself. All the bookstores that used to carry the magazine, they're all gone. They're out of business. Has that? Do you think that is a good thing? Do you think it's bad? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think we have our own fan base, and I think that's good enough. There's no reason to really expand it more than what people want to, what people like us for.
We're in the business for people who like to read, and so the internet, that's like short attention span theater.
Right.
People want to jump around and stuff, and we're here for people who actually want entertainment. They want to learn something, perhaps. They want to be taken on a journey that they're actually going to have to be invested in and concentrate on for a little while. And like any good entertainment, it's going to take you out of your day-to-day life. So it's very well thought out, well produced content that you're not going to get on Facebook, and you're not going to mostly likely see on YouTube. It's we do all of those things. We have our YouTube channel, we have our all of our Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that, but those things are all just the tip of the iceberg. The real story is the print story.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I there's something in my opinion, there's something about having literature in your hand. Like whenever I read a book, and I read a lot, whenever I finish reading a book, it's almost prideful to put that book on a shelf. I mean, I've got all my Weird New Jersey magazines. As a matter of fact, I remember, Mark, you had given me those, I forget what you call them. They're like magazine holders. It was like a box, like
Yeah.
yeah, you had given me 2 or 3 of those, and I put all my magazines in that. So it's like, when people come over, they see all my stuff, and it's kind of like trophies. I read this. This is what I know.
Well, we tried to do like the digital print. Nobody wants to buy it for some reason. Everybody wants to covet the Weird New Jersey magazine.
Yeah, they want something physical.
They don't want it on the internet.
Yeah, they don't want a PDF format of your magazine.
I couldn't agree more. Not to get off the subject, but when I did my book, I did my book about my history of music. One of the things I did not do was make a Kindle version. It was only made as a print book. You could not get it online. And I only did that because I wanted to appeal to those people who were going to buy the book and read it and keep it, rather than getting it on Kindle, getting it online, reading it, and then who knows what you do with it after that. I guess that's fine for some people. I just don't have.
A lot of folks have ADD, so Mike. A lot of people don't want to read it, but that's all. And always a well, not like that, but I mean a great option.
That's pretty much Weird New Jersey's credo is also. I mean, you got to buy it and read it. You can't nothing is free, right?
Right, of course. But a good alternative would always be an audiobook version of Weird New Jersey and a audio version of your book too, Mike, because people have ADD. Nobody wants to read a goddamn thing these days. They'd rather just hear
That's
it.
True.
I don't know. Even audio books, it would take you months to go through it, right? Don't you think?
Well, yes and no. I mean, a lot of folks love that here in 2023. It's the new thing. People love audiobooks, believe it or not. It's just more convenient for some.
I can appreciate the audiobooks, but that it would still be a somewhat inferior product because
well, true.
We take great pride in our imagery as well, not only our photographs but our illustrations. And as everybody knows, a picture can say 1,000 words, and
yes.
The accompaniment of the photos and the illustrations with the text in the magazine is a tremendous step up from just somebody reading the text itself.
I get you for sure. This is also another reason why I like vinyl a lot. I like records. I like opening the big record and seeing all the lovely photographs inside, which is something that, yeah, it's a work of art, exactly. So I get that.
Absolutely, yeah, and totally with the magazine too. You put all that. I did one magazine on my own, a fanzine, back in, oh goodness, I think it was It was, oh golly, 1994, 5.
What was, what was the name?
It was called This Evil on Earth. It was basically a promotion from my band Empire Hideous, but at the same time, I had other people contribute poetry, music reviews, photographs, artwork, that sort of thing. And then I did my own commentary as well. So I gave myself, I gave myself a time limit, 1 month to get everything together, printed it out myself. I think it was something like 40 pages, and I did it on a 18 by 12, stapled it myself, folded it, and sold 100 copies. And again, what I'm trying to get at is it becomes a work of art. I've also done a book written by hand with drawn pictures by myself in a handmade book. Now it's a one of a kind thing. These are works of art in my personal opinion. I'm not bragging about my own stuff. I'm just saying when you create something like Weird New Jersey Magazine, the magazine itself, you're putting an effort into it where you don't get the same thing that you would get if you got a Kindle version or a PDF online.
Well, I think the beauty of Weird New Jersey really is that we have great, contributors, people writing stuff, and that's really what keeps it's kind of like your fanzine, people submit poetry or whatever, but it's people want to have a story to tell, and there's really no other place to tell it, crazy or not, other than Weird New Jersey Magazine.
Absolutely.
Couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. And Mr. Sceurman and Mr. Moran, I was curious, are you gentlemen religious at all?
Well, it depends. Is it Sunday?
I guess that answers that.
I am an ordained minister, so I am religious unto my own church.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. I had no idea. I was just very curious if you guys
Well,
believe...
if you want to join, you can be the second member.
Sure.
The Reverend Moran.
I'm not exactly a religious fellow myself, but it depends what day it is as well. Sometimes I have Jesus in my back pocket, and sometimes I don't.
Well, isn't that a tax write-off, Moran?
If I made any money, it would be, I guess.
Yeah, you'd have to have a church for that.
Yeah.
Wait, let me guess. The Universal Church, is that where you got your ministry from?
I can't really say I'm affiliated with any particular organized faith.
Gotcha. Okay, because I became an ordained minister as well from the Universal Church. I can marry people and that sort of thing.
You can marry people, Myke? The Satanist can marry people?
Yep.
How much do you charge? Moran charges a lot of money.
Does he? Well, I'm going to charge a lot of money too.
Damn. Sounds like I'm in the wrong business.
Yes, my fee usually includes the dinner and free drinks at the wedding.
Nice.
Nice perks.
Yeah.
Good.
Very nice. Well, gentlemen, I had a ball with you guys here, and I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Yeah, I'm on 24% now on my phone. So.
Yeah, see, I had a feeling. We're running low here, Myke. I know these gentlemen have busy lives. They want to get back to it, and always a honor and pleasure to have both of you on here. That's Mr. Mark Sceurman and Mr. Mark Moran. For those just joining in right now, you guys caught the show late, but you can hear a replay. And
from Weird New Jersey Magazine.
Right, Weird New Jersey Magazine. Go check them out. And Mark and Mark, the Marks. Any final words before we cut you guys loose?
Smoke more weed. Oh. If you want my opinion.
Thanks for having us on, Myke and Myke. It's a real pleasure. Myke Hideous, is nice to talk to you again after all this time.
Likewise.
We go way back. Yeah, I mean, just check out weirdnj.com, and we'll see you on the webs.
Very cool.
Interweb.
Yeah, very, very nice. And again, I wish you guys the very best. I hope you guys plenty of success. I hope you guys kill it and make a shit ton of money.
Thank you so much for coming on, guys.
From
Seriously.
your lips to Satan's ears.
Yeah.
Love that. All right, gentlemen, we will cut you loose now. Have a good day.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye,
Take care.
brothers. And there they go, boys and girls. That was Mark and Mark, and I believe I hung up on everybody here. Let's try to bring Myke back on here. I didn't mean to hang up on the man. I apologize for that. Yo, what's going on? There you are. I'm sorry, I hung up on
What'd
you.
do? Hang up on me?
Yeah, I hung up on you like that last time with Gary.
That was interesting, huh? What do you think?
That was awesome. I had a great time there talking to both Marks, Marky Mark and Mark.
Wasn't that confusing tonight?
It
Mark
was
and Mark and Mike and Mike.
Michael and Michael and Mark. It was a fun show. I had a great time. You know, I wasn't quite sure what we were going to, be able to talk about here tonight. And, I was kind of like, I got to be on my best behavior. They're probably pitching the show or they already have the show locked down. So
That's
I'm
what
like,
I
oh
thought.
shit, I have to be careful here.
Right. That's what I was thinking too. I thought they already had something lined up or were current, other than the paranormal show that they do as featured guests, giving their opinions on what
Right.
they see. But I've known Mark Sceurman longer than I've known Mark Moran, and we've been friends all these years. I recently reconnected with him maybe about a year ago, and I just figured out, you know what? I said, let me ask Michael if he would be interested in doing an interview with them, and I'm glad we did, because there's so much history and when I say history, I mean folklore history from New Jersey, as well as the other states that they did the books for when they went on that national tour, collecting stories for each book that they put out. So I think it's great what they've been doing all these years. And as I've said before, I've even contributed my own stuff to them as photographs and
on video, evidently.
Well, just the video was strictly an audition when they got the television show. I wanted to be a special reporter, so to speak, or special journalist that would only come on once in a while and do on a special story. That was the whole premise of or I should say the idea of me doing the video, to show them that I had the ability to do a journalistic story on something, by video, being videotaped.
And what happened? They said no to you.
Well, it's their show, so they could pick and choose obviously what they wanted to do, and I don't think they ever had anybody else doing anything on the show than themselves.
Well, Mike, I got to be honest. If that was me, you know what would have happened. Oh, you don't like my audition tape? Oh, you want me to come over and do this? Well, I will.
Take that.
I'll shoot you faster than that woman from January 6th. What was her name? Ashley something?
Yeah, poor Ashley.
I'll shoot you in the head like Ashley.
Oh, jeez.
How about that?
How about that, sucker?
How about that?
But I'm glad you liked the interview.
I did. It was fun. It was a great time. I enjoyed it. I hope they did too. I mean, right away they're talking about smoking weed and drinking beer. I thought,
I knew you were
God.
gonna like that.
Well, I mean, I liked it. I just thought, well, is the network gonna like that?
Yeah, well,
I'm like, oh shit.
they are very down to earth guys, which is why I've remained friends with them all these years.
Well,
They're
I'm
not
glad.
stuffy.
Well, I'm glad you didn't shoot them, by the way. But I could see how you could have been tempted to.
They've done well for themselves. So you got to respect that based on.
Yeah, they've been around, dude, for a long, long time. And like I told
that's my
them,
point.
when you were telling me initially about them, I'm like, Mike, I know these guys already.
Oh, okay, right. Well, I'm glad you did. But I mean, think about it. The
Mhm.
contents of their publications isn't exactly mainstream. So to get as far as they did with what they provide to their readers, it's quite astonishing, and I'm very happy for them. I've always been very happy for them.
They need to put out an audiobook.
You were saying, I know.
They need it. I'm telling you, lots of people out there They don't want to read. The majority of folks out there listen to audiobooks nowadays.
You know, it's sad, Michael,
Get
but
with the times. Get with the
I
times.
believe you're true. I believe it's true.
It is. It's a fact.
Yeah.
And I like to be backed by the facts.
It's sad when you think about it, because I love reading. I try to read as much as I possibly can. For a while, there was about a good portion of about a year and a half that I was just uninterested. But I've recently been reading books again, and
So, in other words,
I like
you're
it.
saying that you're smart now.
I've been smart,
You're a
pal. I
smart
got
guy.
news for you.
You,
I'm a fart smeller.
yeah,
I mean, it's a smart feller.
right on. Myke, it's always a honor and pleasure to be doing the program with you, and we are coming to an unfortunate close here, and I hate to do it, Myke, but it's ending.
I know, it's ending. End of days.
I know, right? What was that all about?
Yeah, he really caught me off guard with that.
Yeah, I'm like, end of days. That's not the name of this program.
The Michael Deacon program.
Okay, enough of that. I got tired of that.
Got bored quick.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll play this little drop here made by one of our listeners, and it actually annoyed me right now. I had to get rid of it. But anyways, I do want to thank all of you out there for hanging out with us here tonight. Those of you in the chat room, and of course, those of you that will listen later on a replay. Really appreciate that. Definitely look for the Michael Deacon program on iTunes, Stitcher, basically everywhere you listen to podcasts is where you'll find my show, our show, the Mark and Mark Show. I'm just going to call this the Mark and Mark Show.
What, are you confused too?
No, not really.
No? Oh, okay.
I just wanted to call it the Mark and Mark Show. That sounds like a good radio sort of name. It's like a morning drive show that, we all hate.
Runs off the tongue better.
Yeah.
Rolls off the tongue.
Those morning drive shows, the morning talk shows, oh my God.
What a painful thing.
They're the worst.
Ugh. What all the sound effects and oh my goodness.
There's too many.
In the days of when radio was much more bigger, obviously, than the internet, of course, but even before the internet, you had all those shows, the Z100 shows, right?
Mark
you had
and Brian.
that out by you.
Yeah, I had a bunch of terrible shows I've been listening to forever. I'm only listening to make fun of it, though.
I can't tolerate them.
Well, Myke, I don't blame you. It's shit.
It is.
It really is. So, Myke, once again, any final words before I cut you loose now?
Yeah, just in case anybody's interested, my book is still available. King of an Empire to the Shoes of a Misfit by yours truly. You can get that at MikeHideous.com. And that's about it, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Mark and Mark.
Yeah.
Thank you to the listeners.
Thank
you to anybody listening on the podcast. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Oh, yes. Always a pleasure. And Myke, you're not going to be with us on Friday, are you?
I'm afraid not.
You're fired.
It depends, because I'm not going to be back until after 10 o'clock my time.
Yeah, it's at 3 p.m.
Yeah, I can't. I can't.
We have Dean Ryan coming on.
I know. You were telling me.
Well,
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be available.
Now I'm sad.
Oh, I'll make it up to you, buddy.
I wanted you here, and now you're going to be gone. Myke, why do you have to leave?
Phooey.
I thought we had a good thing going here, and now you are sort of dumping me.
Yeah, well, I got bored.
Well, it happens. That's why I'm like, damn, you guys aren't bored of each other yet, the Marks?
Yeah, right? They've been together longer than a marriage, you were saying.
Yeah, way longer than a marriage. I would have just probably strangled you by now, Myke.
Yeah, I got to tell you, before we disconnect here,
yeah,
earlier on, and I don't know who it was, but somebody was sending something on the YouTube chat, something about interviewing them for something with 666 and the family of the devil. I can't remember.
I don't know that. I mean, that's Roman, I believe, who's a longtime listener. I like him very much, but I have
Right.
no idea what any of that meant.
Yeah, I don't either.
I have no
saw
clue.
it.
Well, I mean, that's how it goes. Sometimes you see these things in the chat room and you have no idea what they're talking about.
Well, here you go. It says right here, this is by Roman. I'm half a bottle down on Crown Black Royal.
Oh, shit.
Sipping slowly in my mansion.
Well, I like that. See, he's living
Good
it up.
for him.
Yeah, good for him. And I believe this is from Dr. Strange something here. Is it Dr. Strange Love? Is that who it is?
Responding to Roman?
I can't really read the chat room too well. These monitors are too far away from my little eyes. But
okay,
yeah,
so what are you
is,
seeing?
Yeah, it is Dr. Strangelove. He's saying, Deacon, did you raped a guy?
Jesus Christmas.
I guess he's asking if I raped a man.
Okay.
Well, I've raped many men, I guess.
All right.
I guess.
And Roman also called you Michael Obama.
Michael Obama. the Messiah.
Obama Messiah.
Yeah, he was the Messiah to a lot of folks out there.
He was the king.
King Obama.
In his own fucking mind.
You didn't like Obama?
You're joking, right?
Well, yeah, but you didn't like him?
The anti-American, American-hating twat.
Oh, Mike, how dare you talk about a former president like that?
Oh, he was a president? I'm sorry. I thought he was the king.
He was.
Right, King Hussein.
King Hussein, the fallen Messiah. So, Mike, once again, thank you so much for being a part of the program. Buddy. Always a honor and pleasure to have you here. We'll do it again on the other side, my friend.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. All right, everybody. Have a good, what's today?
Kwanzaa.
Right, today's Wednesday. Have a good week, and I'll see you or hear you or talk to you when I do. Take care, Mike.
You got it. And there he goes, boys and girls. That was the co-host of this program, Mr. Myke Hideous. And I do want to thank all of you out there, those of you who tried calling in. I'm sorry I didn't pick up your call there. I apologize, I really do. But next time, Friday, I definitely want you guys to call in and to hang out with me and Dean Ryan. We're going to drop it hard, drop it fast. It's going down faster than a Chinese hospital. You wanted to rape a man last show. Dr. Strangelove is saying I wanted to rape a man last show. And it's true, I did want to rape a man. I was in the mood for raping a man. It's a man rape. And no, I wasn't successful raping a man. I'm sorry, Dr. Strangelove. I failed to do so. But next time, they won't be so lucky. Anyways, boys and girls, it was fun. I had a great time. I hope you had a great time. We'll do it again Friday, for sure. And my God, definitely join us over on patreon.com/Michael Deacon. And that is where gold falls from the sky. Plenty of great episodes there. I recommend it. If you like this program, go sign up today. $1, $2, $3, $5, whatever you got. We could use that here. Without you, this program is dead in the water, unfortunately, and so am I. Once that dries up, I'm dead. I'll be living in the street. So once again, boys and girls, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll do it again on the other side. And with that said, the world is a mysterious place, and life itself is a mystery. Until next time, good night, boys and girls.